Hello to everyone. I want to, this today, this lesson is going to be in memory of my father, Rabbi Michael Graetz, and his legacy. I thought it would be a nice tribute, sort of like to summarize this period of time that I've been going through back and forth to Israel when he was sick, and now back to the unveiling that I was there these past few weeks. And actually, I went through a lot through his library and through his office and archives, and found a lot of interesting things that I thought it would be nice to share with our class, and also in many ways because he really shaped who I am as a person, but as a rabbi, especially as a rabbi. So I think it would be interesting to go through his life and to see how it affected me and many other people that he touched throughout his life, including my sisters, um, my mother, and his whole community. And I want to really dedicate this lesson also for for all the hostages, the 98 hostages that are still held in captivity, and hoping that there will be good news, and that hopefully maybe even next week, some of them will start returning home, and those who are not alive would be returned to Israel, to a proper grave in Israel. Um, so, with that in mind, I prepared actually a PowerPoint, which I wanted to share with you. Um, and actually, let's do it this way. Hello to everyone. Sorry. I want to, just the YouTube. I think I'm muting the site here. Um, okay. Yeah. Okay. Um, okay, very good. Now we're going back to the Zoom. And now we're going to go back to sharing with the sound. um, and actually, I wonder which is the one I need to share. I think it's this one. No, sorry, that's not the right one. Maybe it's this one. Let's see. No. So maybe it's this one. Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay. So this Hebrew says the Shloshim, which is, as we learned, the 30th day after the person is deceased. In Israel, the custom is to go to the grave and do the unveiling at that time. So we did that on December 31st, and I got to Israel especially for that. And that's a photo of my father, Rabbi Michael Graetz, who was the rabbi in the congregation Magen Avraham, which means Abraham's shield, which refers really to God, was Abraham's shield in the Bible, and also lived in the Negev, in the south of Israel. That's where Abraham really started off, right, in the land of Israel, in Tel Beersheba, Beersheba. And that's really where my father lived and worked his whole life, in that place, and built this community. Here you see a lot of what I'm saying is also on the website that he built himself, michaelgretz.com. There's a Hebrew website and the English website. There are a lot of articles there. I'll be maybe at the end of the session today, I'll go with you to the website and show you how you could get a lot of very good, interesting articles and reading and lessons that are there from his legacy. This photo here is a photo that he took. He put like that on the home screen. He was a professional photographer actually before he became a rabbi, and even during the time that he was a rabbi. And he loved taking photos of flowers in the Negev, in the south of Israel. So here's one example of that. My dad came to Israel after the 1967 war, and
From where?
he was from Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay, and he moved to New York when I think he was 17 or 18. That's where he met my mother, and he went to a rabbinical school there. And actually, the I think the ordination was the day of the that the 6 Day War started in June, and that affected him tremendously and made him want to move to Israel and help rebuild the land of Israel. And he actually also enlisted to the army. And in the army, he was stationed during the Yom Kippur War in a book that actually it's in Hebrew, but I'll pass it along. I think you're able to see it in the camera. Oh yeah, here's the camera.
It's there.
Okay, it's there. I'll pass it along so you can look at it. He wrote a diary of the Yom Kippur War. He was in the Army Chever Kadisha. You remember we learned about that Jewish institution that goes and is in charge of burial of a proper Jewish burial. So in the army, you also have this army unit, which is in charge of the burial of soldiers, of fallen soldiers. And during a war, they have they're obviously much more busier. They have to go identify the bodies, sometimes pull them out of a war zone. And he did that at Sinai Peninsula during the Yom Kippur War, and he actually wrote a diary in English. And this is a translation. What you're looking at now is a translation from the English. So if anyone wants the English version, it's on the website of michaelgraetz.com. It's a beautiful diary of what he did during the war, and it's just a document of it's a beautiful Jewish document as well because it tells in a way it's like the experience that he experienced facing the dead and the wounded from a Jewish point of view. And how do you keep on living? How do you also need to celebrate the Jewish holidays while there's a war going on around you? And just beautiful insights into Jewish living and existence throughout difficult times like war. Okay, as he was very, very talented in many ways. Some of them we didn't even know until we went into his archive. Um, for example, you see the bulletin here that I'm pointing to. Oh no, actually you can't see it. So um, let me see if I could share. Um, um, no, before breakout rooms anymore. Okay, it's not letting me do what I want to do, but that's right. Hmm, I don't know why. Okay, but in any event, on the right side, you see this bulletin, which is in small print. It's from 1985, and it's a bulletin that came out on a monthly basis for using your personal computer. Personal computers started, in the 80s, I guess, with Atari and Apple and things like that. And my dad was a rabbi, but he was very into technology. He was like very good with that, and he adapted any new technology, even till a late age, even till he was in his 80s. Um, and um, and we saw all the, in his office, which had thousands of articles and books and magazines and things like that, and we weren't able to keep all of them. So we saw like a bunch of these and put them, by accident. We were about to throw them, and then as we're about to throw them, I'm looking through it, and then I see that a he wrote an ongoing column in that personal use of computers, telling people how to use their personal computer. So he not only mastered it for himself, he was even teaching other people in Israel how to use their home computers. He wrote I don't know if anyone remembers the logo software or Basic or things like that.
Fortran.
Mhm.
Fortran.
Yeah. So
A friend of mine wrote Fortran.
yeah, so there's even like a music software that he wrote here for people that how to do these things. So he was really a man of many, many talents that some of them we found out after. He was an amazing cook. This is I think when he was like 81, 82, cooking his famous lasagna on Passover.
Why
Created by Master Chef Michael Graetz
What did he say?
for a wonderful group of good friends that were university students living in a rented apartment in New York City during their college years at Columbia University.
Because Viti was
Neil
closed.
Simon was one of them.
Who?
Neil Simon,
Okay.
not the playwright.
Yeah.
The
Who else?
psychologist. Harvey Goldberg.
Really? Harvey Goldberg?
Professor Harvey
That's
Goldberg.
Michal's father?
Yeah, Professor Harvey Goldberg, the professor of anthropology at Hebrew University, and one of the most important creators of Jewish anthropology in the 20th century. One of the major figures.
Yeah.
And his wife Judy.
Yeah. But they weren't married then.
They were married then. Well, they were going to get married.
Yeah.
And I was the cook.
And you made this?
Yes, and I made this for Pesach.
And wait, who else then was there? Harvey, Neil?
Harvey, Neil Simon, and I'm trying to think who else was there.
Wait, don't you cut it, Abba?
I have to try that recipe.
Wait, I didn't make enough.
I do it very well. I'll be happy to give you.
No, I didn't make enough layers. Because you're going to need another one on top of it. Wait, let me make more. אבא, מקודם חתכת את זה. לא, מקודם חתכת את הפieces, לא?
No.
לא?
Yeah.
She's giving him instructions.
She's giving him instruction.
A few others. No, you don't have to.
He knows what he's doing.
Okay.
Is that a meat sauce?
No,
No.
can't be. Yeah, so he came up with these, lasagna things, and it was just always a pleasure eating his.
Famous matzo lasagna.
He always said something about Air Force, being in the Air Force. I see Larry is online. Maybe he knows what this certificate is. So we were like, we didn't believe it, and then we found this last week. We found this certificate saying Civil Air Patrol Auxiliary of the U.S. Air Force. Be it known that Cadet Michael Jerome Graetz, has satisfactory completed the training course prescribed for Civil Air Patrol cadets. Does that mean that he was actually flying things? This is like when he was at 1956, when he was 16.
No.
No.
The Civil Air Patrol is an auxiliary force that helps out on just about anything, downed aircraft, fire protection. They just do a lot, and you've got to qualify. Usually, someone has their own plane, although I guess many may lease them as well. But they do all sorts of things to help people.
But it doesn't mean that he was flying himself.
Yeah, it probably does.
Interesting. Okay.
At least I mean that's what I would think, but I don't know all the ins and outs. But that unless he was supporting on the ground,
yeah.
while aircraft are searching.
Ever told you he was a pilot?
He said something about being in planes or something like that, and then we found this. So because we thought he was just talking, and then we found this thing. I'm like, well, maybe it could be. He was a marathon runner. He started running when he was like in his late 30s. And he was running for 10, 15, or maybe even 20 years. He did the International Marathon of the Sea of Galilee. Okay, it's a big marathon in Israel. People from all over the world come, and at the age of 44, I think he did 3 hours and 38 minutes, which is a very good time. It's like 5:10 per kilometer, so that's very impressive. Here I am after my dad finished this marathon together with my sister, and actually at the shiva, one of his friends that came and ran with him, the guy here standing here on the left, said, "Well, your father always said that he did this record, but it's not really possible that someone would run so fast at that age, etc." So I said, "But I remember my dad always saying that," and then we found the certificate that actually attests to the exact time that he did. So we sent it to his friend and said, your memory's not serving you so well. Yeah. Doing interfaith dialogue was something very, very important for him. Here in the photo on the right side, you see my dad next to it, the sheikh from Rahat, which is a big Arab town in the south of Israel. And here on the left side, this is when I was there. Now we did. Everyone got together in the congregation that he built, and did a special interfaith meeting in his memory. And as you can see, there were like priests, Catholic priests from the community in Beersheba, and Muslim leadership, and Jewish leadership, Orthodox rabbis, conservative, reform, all together, really. And that's really something that he was able to bring people together and to have dialogue. One of the ideas that he had was always that we need to go to restaurants around Beersheba, in the south of Israel, and sit together as groups. And people are going to come and say, "Why are you all sitting together? Why are you, like rabbis sitting with Muslim leaders?" And and then you would start telling people, and then they would see that you're able to live together and eat together and dialogue together and build, sustainable relationships. They would go to schools and talk to kids about the need to know one another, and they would have very serious debates among themselves, which was always very interesting. Some of them even spoke at his funeral, which was really, really special and beautiful. Yes.
So are those Bedouins up there?
Yeah.
Those are Bedouins. Did they go to school with the Jewish kids, or is there a separate system for them?
Well, there's an educational system in their towns, which is the Israeli educational system.
But is their town
It's in
only,
Arabic.
is the town only Bedouins? It's an actual town, it's not.
Most of the towns are only Bedouins,
Hmm.
okay, but some places are mixed. Okay, there's some cities in Israel that are mixed, Arabs and Jews, and sometimes they go to the same school, sometimes they have separate schools. Like each municipality kind of like
Yeah,
decides
but different, but
on its own.
is there an actual town that's a Bedouin town? I only
Oh yeah,
know
there's a few Bedouin towns
Really?
in the Negev. Yeah, there are hundreds of thousands of Bedouins that
No, I know,
live.
but you see their encampments, and I've never seen a town. Where's there an actual?
Rahat,
Zahat?
Rahat,
Rachat.
and Lakia.
I don't know.
So there are a few of them, and some here are from Rahat and some from Lakia, and some are also from Tel Sheva. Tel Sheva is where Abraham's well is. There's an archaeological dig there. I should have brought one of the photos. One of my dad's favorite sites in Israel was the Tel, where they actually dug wells from the time of Abraham and from the time of the first kingdom of the Israelites in Israel. They found a huge water cyst there that my dad was really a tour guide. He would take people through it all the time. I'll add to this PowerPoint a photo of that. He took people there, and it was very special. He was also made sure to always appear in newspaper and to send the messages of the conservative movement, which is called Masorti movement in Israel. This article, for example, the headline is "Jews Get Out of the Shtetl." Okay, and he says, that's Orthodox Judaism and kind of like still stuck in exile, and some of its ruling about its relationship for non-Jews are against, the position of the Bible and the Mishnah, and he always emphasized the openness and humanity that is in the basis of Judaism, and not to be a closed religion. And while we should not, lose our traditions and keep our traditional Judaism, we always have to look towards the future, like the prophet Micah, for example, that talked about, people living together in coexistence, etc. So just like a beautiful part of what he was. I found this is a little bit more personal, a Hanukkah love letter that he wrote to my mother when they were dating. I think this is like in 1963 or 4 when he was in Jerusalem. They were dating, but he went to Israel, and then I think he sent her this letter, which he then translated into Hebrew. Okay. And there are even some spelling mistakes there. So I know it was like in the early times before he moved to Israel. And he wrote, and this is a poem on Hanukkah, and he writes, "Leaves fall, blood red brown like soldiers in December, as of old, Kislev Tevet," which is the Hebrew month that Hanukkah fall on, when Judah Maccabee, brave men, rededicated the Holy of Holies in Jerusalem, meaning the temple. A miracle burning 8 days, one each, for Hannah and her 7 faithful sons, God remembered. We remember the festival of lights, glowing to God, the maker of all things every day, like my love loves every day in faith. And he wrote in Hebrew, he wrote down below to Naomi, a happy Hanukkah. Every day when you look at the date, maybe you will remember Mordechai, which is his Hebrew name. So really, really cute. He wrote a lot of poems, which we found now, and we're gonna actually upload them to his website. We're going to scan them and upload them to his website. He also worked as a reporter in the Jerusalem Post. And here, for example, is an interview he did with Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's one of the biggest rabbis of the 20th century. And he really, he was a rabbi of the Sephardi Jews in Israel. He also got into politics. He was a character in the debate, but he was a great scholar and influenced many Israelis. And actually, he's very well known that when the Ethiopian Jewry came to Israel after thousands of years in exile, he declared that they are Jews and they need to be accepted, as opposed to the Ashkenazi rabbis who said, no, we don't want to accept them. But he was chief rabbi then, and he got them accepted into Israeli society, and he will be remembered also for that. And my dad actually sat with him. This is in 1968. Right? That's what it says. 1969, and he interviewed him in Jerusalem. So we found this also in his archive, which was really beautiful. He always talked about that. I'm like, what? Did you really meet with him? Did you really? And and then when you see it, you realize, that's pretty amazing. He loved doing weddings in Israel. I don't know if you remember when I talked about conservative Judaism in Israel, which is called Masorti Judaism. I told you they are not recognized. The rabbis there are not recognized by the state to perform weddings. Only Orthodox rabbis are. They don't like the conservative Judaism because it's egalitarian, because it's more lenient with Jewish ruling, etc. And they want to preserve their power also because they get a lot of money from the government for the things that they do, because there's no separation of religion and state in Israel. So there are all these Orthodox parties, and they're very well funded by the government. So for a conservative rabbi to do a wedding in Israel, it's a big thing because it's practically illegal. You're not supposed to do that. In theory, you could even be jailed for that. No one, I think, was ever. Maybe someone was even detained once, not really arrested, but you're not supposed to do it, and it's not recognized by the state. If a couple gets married this way, so they need to then go. I was telling you, to Cyprus to get married in a civil wedding, and then they come back to Israel and register as a married couple. But nevertheless, my dad decided.
Why doesn't the Orthodox recognize the requirements in the Talmud? I mean, what? I guess I understand why a state can get involved, but why does the state need to legitimize a wedding that happens according to Jewish law?
Well, that's a good question, and I'll refer you to go back to the lessons that I gave on that when we were talking about weddings. But just in a nutshell, I would say that it's really to preserve their power, because halachically it's like a legitimate wedding, but they don't recognize it because they want to maintain their political power. But in any event, my dad led, together with other rabbis, the establishment of the Bureau for religious services of conservative movement conversion and weddings and burial, and really built a whole infrastructure to allow many Israelis to get religious services as they seek, and not as the government or the Orthodox establishment forcing it on them. He was very successful, as you can see here, and in many other instances. He was also a great educator. You see him here. He loved teaching kids. He was very involved with that. He actually built it's like a Hebrew school. It's like an afternoon school in the community, where till today, I was just there a few days ago on Sunday when I was there. I saw all the kids there, over 100 kids that come every day after school hour, like around 1 to 4 or 5 o'clock. They get a warm meal, they do their homework, but they also get Jewish education that they don't always get in the secular Israeli educational system. And this was really modeled and established by my father many years ago, and it's still going on in Israel. It's very successful. And here is the sukkah of the community that he established, and he's here teaching kids about the 4 species that we also learned about in Sukkot. Purim, okay, is everyone waited for how Rabbi Michael Graetz would dress up as Purim. That was like a big thing. Also, my mother would dress up. They would come as a couple dressed up. It was always a lot of fun. I have a lot of photos like that, but you could see how the kids sort of like gathering around him, celebrating Purim with him. Just joy and Judaism was really went together along with my father, and sending that message that kids need to be in the Megillah reading. They need to hear it, even if it's a little bit longer, even if, you know, it's like something that that you feel sometimes maybe it's not always appropriate, everything that's in the Megillah and all the celebrations. For him, it was very important that kids would be there. Everyone would see the adults celebrating with the kids, and a lot of good memories are from there as well. He was chosen to be Man of the Year in all of Beersheba and the Negev, and they usually chose an Orthodox rabbi, but one year they chose my father because of what he did there. And apparently there's a kind of like a stormy situation because he was a conservative rabbi, and the Orthodox rabbis did not like it, that the city of Beersheba in the south selected someone that is, you know, they don't agree with, again, because of their strong control. And there was also someone kind of like heard the mayor saying, you know, how can we shake hands with this person? And then that came to the attention of the community that was very upset. Why would the mayor say that? The mayor was not Orthodox, you know, and he's supposed to represent everyone in the community. So he actually wrote a letter to the community and said, I never said anything of that sort. I blessed Rabbi Graetz for being Man of the Year. I did shake his hand warmly, and I believe he is very worthy of the recognition that he got by, you know, by the newspaper and the city, etc. And he sent a copy also to my father that he saved, and we found this in the archive. This is from 1989. So that was also nice. And at home we have like the award and everything. Okay, here's some more personal memories. This is me and my bar mitzvah, and the photo that we sent to our American family, because, you know, that's how you're supposed to do it, although I didn't have a suit on me. And my dad even kept my bar mitzvah sermon, which I was shocked to find there. It wasn't that, you know, it was good. I was just 13. Okay.
When's your birthday? April?
December 19th. It was on Hanukkah.
Are we gonna hear this at some point?
Yeah, right. So one day I'll have to
Did you say it slowly and loudly?
Yeah.
Like you
Oh,
tell
yeah.
them?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it in English?
No, it was in Hebrew, but I did finish off by words in English because there was a lot of family that came from America. So I said, dear family, look at this handwriting. I'm very happy that so many of you were able to come to my bar mitzvah celebration. I'm very proud of my family and of the congregation and what they stand for. I want to thank all of you who helped me to reach this day, both my family and our friends. Okay. Yeah, not very sophisticated, but pretty good. And service in the army. As I said, my dad was in the Yom Kippur War. If you saw the photo on the book, this is the photo that he was a photographer also in the army, and here he is at the Yom Kippur War on a short vacation that he came home, and playing next to him is myself as a little boy. And here is a photo when I was in the army. My dad just finished his army service, so we took a photo together. He was in reserves, reservists, because everyone in Israel, once they finish their army service, they go into reserves until they're 40, 50, depends on what you were doing in the army. So that's a nice photo. His grandsons were all in the army. Here's a photo with his older grandson. Here's a photo with me in my army service that all my family came and visited as well. Things started declining in the last year. Here's just a Zoom call or WhatsApp video call that I did with my father from the CNT office. You can see in the small picture with my dad. And this is on October 27th, and he passed away on November 27th. I got to Israel really quickly. We were able to be with him in the hospital for 6-7 days, where he was talking and smiling and giving us really his living legacy will. It was really very, very special time for all of us. It really influenced me a lot to see the way a man could leave his life and just say goodbye to people, recognizing that he's not well and won't be able to live long. So just being able to bless all of us. This past Shabbat, we read about Jacob as he was in Egypt, and he was about to pass away, and he gathered all his children and gave his blessing and his living legacy to his children in the Bible. And I felt very much like this when my father was parting from us. It was very, very powerful moment that influenced us a lot. Here's my mother on the right side. Next to her is my younger sister that you met, who's the filmmaker. She was here a year ago. My father in the middle, I'm next to him, and on the far left is my other sister, who was also here a month ago in November and December. And she actually mentioned how beautiful the community treated her and her husband at the difficult times. As my father went in a hospital, I was already in Israel. Saying goodbyes and living with. He met with my son, who's in the and gave him like his blessing also on how to be in life and interact with other people, and it was just really, really beautiful. His Iraqi in-law Benny walked in. And my father was like, "Oh, Benny, you're here." He was like, my father was like so weak already, but he's like woke up to life, and he loved his Iraqi in-laws so much. Benny was born in Iraq as a Jew there, and they had to flee from Iraq. And after the establishment of the state of Israel, the Iraqi government turned against the Jews, and kind of like they all had to run away, leaving their businesses there. And came with barely nothing to Israel, and he really built his life here with his two hands. An Orthodox Jew, very religious. He was actually had a printing business, and he used to print the books of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, the one that my father interviewed in the 60s. So they actually talked about that, and we were all worried about how this American family of ours, my mother and my father, very American, and this Iraqi family of how would they interact together. And we always used to joke because the wedding was in the 90s, right after the war between Iraq and America. So I said, they're fighting there, but here in Israel, two families, American family and Iraqi, are able to marry and build a life together. So my sister is married to Menash, who's the son of Benny and Dina, the Iraqi Jews, and just the whole melting pot of the Israeli society was so meaningful for my dad. This is really why he came to Israel and to live there, because he really believed that this is where Jews belong, and that melting pot, like bringing the Jews from all the different exiles together after thousands of years of being out of the country, is sort of like the epiphany. I mean the vision of the prophets of the Bible. He was singing. Here is one of his closest pupils, Rabbi Tamar, who is a very famous rabbi in Israel, who came and played the guitar. This is just a few days before he passed away. He was singing his songs, and he also composed some melodies. We started singing some of them in the sanctuary, and I'll talk about that in a second. This is his matzeva, his tombstone that we unveiled on December 31st, and there are different verses around them. It's all in Hebrew, but this says his name, Rabbi Michael Graetz, and this has the dates, the Hebrew date and the regular date, and it also says born in Lincoln, Nebraska, but died in Omer, Israel. And here is the verse of, it is so good to rejoice and be grateful to God and to sing God's song, to say his grace in the morning, and to talk about his faith, to talk about it, believing him at night. It's from Psalm 92, and it really reflects on who my father was. Psalms was one of his favorite books in the Bible. He would teach a lot about that. And there's this amazing, beautiful book, which is called A Psalmist with a Camera, photographs of Gail Rubin of a biblical safari. Gail Rubin, I don't know, anyone remembers the name? Very famous Jewish photographer. Met my father on a plane, and he helped her, like get organized in Israel to take these beautiful, beautiful photos of wildlife in Israel, of different, scenery. And my dad, in this book, he did all the text, and he chose the Psalms, and helped really produce it. I found in his office like the original photos, and it says the text. And so she wrote the text, but the introduction and the verses, the additional text by Rabbi Michael Graetz, and Gail Rubin. In June of 1969, she went to Israel for a 3-week vacation and decided to stay for the year. Her stay lengthened into almost 9 years. And on March 11th, I think a group of terrorists landed off the shore on the Mediterranean Sea in Magan Michael, a kibbutz on Magan Michael. It's one of the, I don't know which one exactly it is. They came off a boat. She was taking photos of scenery in Israel. They shot her, and then they got on the Kvish HaChof, the main road that connects Haifa and Tel Aviv. They kidnapped a bus. I think they killed 14 people on that bus in a terror attack. And she was part of that, and that's how her young life ended. But I'm going to pass this beautiful a book that my father was involved with. He was very close to Gail Rubin as well. And I thought it would just be nice to I found another thing here that I thought was funny. This is from 1989, and this huge sign here says, okay, it says, Ner Tamid Congregation, Adult Education Series, Rabbi Michael Graetz. Okay, 4 Wednesdays. It's not our Ner Tamid, but it's just not, it's a congregation in New York, I think. It's called Ner Tamid. So I thought
They
it's
did it
funny.
on Wednesday.
And on Wednesday.
It's Chicago when he was a scholar in residence.
Oh, in Chicago. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Another
I
congregation.
thought about ending with him blowing the shofar. Every Yom Kippur, we would all wait for the end of Yom Kippur, not just so we can eat, but also to hear my father blow the shofar. We never knew how he had that energy. He would go on for 30, 40 seconds sometimes. We would all time him, and we were like amazed how he had all that energy after leading. He was actually leading the Nehila service as well. So here he is blowing the shofar on a weekday at our home in Omer. So I thought that would be a nice way to end this presentation.
Oh, God. Scared me.
Oh, that's.
Where is the?